when we left, it was really because we got kicked out, right? We start, you saw in the beginning of the film, we sort of start getting nosy and we start trying to look in some of these other areas, and then they shut down the filming, they throw us out. And then we thought, well, maybe we're stuck now. How are we going to make a film about this? We feel we have to because we're the only people that know what's going on in here, but they're not going to let us back. So it was then that we found out that there was this network of men inside who had access to these contraband cell phones who were documenting what was going on. So that was our way of getting into those buildings that we couldn't see inside. And one of the first things we learned was one of the guys inside, Melvin Ray, texted us to say, hey, this guard, it was a guard that we had been tracking already, who was a particularly violent guard. He just beat somebody very badly, and he's now, that person, the victim, is at UAB Hospital. So we jumped in a car and we went to UAB Hospital and just walked up. I just put my iPhone in my pocket and we just walked up to the intensive care unit. And when we got there, we found that this young man, Stephen Davis, had died from his injuries. And as we started to get deeper into it, we went and visited his mother, because we didn't even know if she knew that she had lost her son. But in fact, she had been with him when he passed away. She had sort of turned off the life support. And we said, we want to make a film about this. We're trying to tell the story. And she immediately said, I'm in. I want to help you. I don't want this to happen to any other mothers. And this is a very nice white lady from Uniontown, Alabama, with an oxygen tank. I mean, she's not somebody that you would see ordinarily as kind of a heroic person. But when she loses her son, she really becomes so activated, and she ends up telling us the story. And then she says, look, they're lying to me already. My son just died last night, and they're already calling me and telling me things about how he was the one that attacked guards, and none of this is true. This all seems like it's fake. So teach me how to record my phone calls. So this older woman suddenly became a really important partner in making the film. And this gets back to your question about Stephen Davis. So her son, who was a drug addict, right, didn't kill anybody, but was in a car when a drug deal went bad. He went to try to buy drugs, and his friend went in the house, and they had a fight, and somebody got shot. And then he got arrested and was charged with murder, because that's how the felony murder statute works. And so here you have a drug addict who goes to prison in Alabama and is in the highest security prison there, and is targeted by a particular guard who is especially violent and is just beaten to death in front of 70 witnesses. And then, of course, as we go through the film, we start tracking that in our investigation, and we start looking into the cover-up and why they lied about how he had died, and how they scrambled the witnesses, and how the Department of Corrections is organized so that they prevent people from finding out what really happened to their kids or their loved ones, and they avoid liability and so on. And there was one person that we ended up hearing from, this guy James Sales, who originally tells just the police side of the story, just says, well, yeah, it's exactly the way that the guard said. But then he kind of hints on the phone, listen, when I get out of here, I'll tell the real story.
Now, do they have access to these communications? Is there a way they could be hacking into it and know that Sales had said that to you?
Well, the person that he said it to was the lawyer for Sandy Ray. So he was supposed to be on a private attorney call. But we do think that the Department of Corrections doesn't abide by that. I think they do listen to attorney calls. Sales didn't say exactly on the phone what he was going to say, but I think they knew that he was a problem, because he was a good person.